Hey crafters, it's Janet with Crafting It Up in Creations, coming at you today with a resin project share. I've been playing around with resin now for a couple of months. I have been on YouTube and I have watched tons and tons of other talented crafters that work with resin and had gotten some tips and tricks from them. And I've just kind of been playing around with it and made a few little pieces, and I wanted to share those with you because even when I'm not filming, a lot of times I'm crafting. So I had made quite a few of these, and then I went back and decided to start filming some of it and thought I would edit it. I did a lot of editing on this just to kind of share with you some of the different pieces I've made and the possible plans I have for these. Now, off the top of my head, what I would really like to do with a lot of these are for like planner charms or purse charms, using them as dangles, maybe even for paper clips to put in planners. I'll just have to kind of play around with that. The benefit of resin is that it doesn't weigh a whole lot, so it won't bulk down, it won't make it feel heavy. Nothing like a real keychain would do. The bad part about it is that the resin can scratch. You can kind of scratch that surface of it because it's not like a glass. But these came out really cute. I'll share with you where I got some of my supplies at and the different tips that I have along the way on when I did end up making these. A few mistakes I've made and different things in hopes of keeping you from making those same mistakes as well. But if you're really wanting to try this, I definitely suggest using a coupon either to Michael's or AC Moore or Joann's. Right now, Joann's has two 50% off coupons out there this week. If you do it by today, to get your resin 50% off. So the first thing I do is I lay down some wax paper. And you could use anything else. What I wanted was something that I could lay down and easily clean up. And I used this amazing clear cast resin. Now, the first time I ever bought resin, I accidentally bought the kind that turns white. Doesn't matter what you put in it, it's still going to be white. So make sure you get the amazing clear cast. There's a part A and a part B. I prefer this one right now. I haven't tried a whole lot of other ones, but just because it's a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that, 15 ounces or 15 milliliters and 15 milliliters, it's a 1-to-1. You don't have to do 2-to-1 and try to figure out that in your head. And then this is a little mixing cup that I had bought recently, and I was kind of just showing that if you wait for that resin to dry, you can basically just peel it off the cup and you can peel it out of the center. I've got popsicle sticks, I've got toothpicks. I do have some of these really nice clear molds. They're like silicone, and then I have some of these silicone mermaid tails. And then I have some of these are like a hard plastic almost. I have a favorite seller on Etsy for those, and her seller name is MoldsbyMia. And I have bought several from her. She's got a lot of different things to choose from. But you can also get these little ice cube ones that are from Michael's. And those were cactus. These are in the chocolate candy section or the candy section. And of course this one has unicorns and rainbows and mermaids. The mermaid's a little distorted when I tried to use it, but still pretty cute. This one was puzzle pieces. And the benefit to even some of these is that Michael's puts them on sale a lot of times, or if they're seasonal items, they get clearance. Like this one was from Valentine's Day, and these are hearts. And then, of course, these are seashells and stars in time for summer. So I want to go back and use this one. I didn't use a whole bunch out of this except for the seashells. Now, these are mica powders and eyeshadow. Now the mica powders are from Prima and they are from Michaels. This LA Colors shimmer eyeshadow is actually from the Dollar Tree, and they have so many different colors. They are beautiful. Now they come with a little brush in them, but basically what I've done is I went through and anytime I've used them, I've pulled that brush out and just thrown it away because I really don't need it. I may regret that in some instances, like if I use some of those silk screens on clay, but right now, yeah. I have measuring cups. You can get those off of Amazon for a little bit of nothing. Like you can get like 500 of them for like $10. And I kind of go through them, so you may not think that's a whole lot, but I end up mixing different colors in them. I have dedicated ones right now for part A and part B because as long as you don't mix them together, they don't harden. And I just have them sitting in front of the bottles. But I'm going to fill them up pretty much to the 30 ml line. And then I'm going to throw them together in the larger mixing cup that I got from Michaels. And I do always have a paper towel handy, even though I'm wearing gloves, just to wipe some of that off of my gloves, just so I don't transfer it to different surfaces. I have decided that I always want to put in part A first. It's a little bit more thicker. And so I put it kind of go ahead and put it to the bottom. Of course, I'll scrape out my cup really well with my popsicle stick. And then I'll add part B to that. And like I say, it's definitely a little bit thinner. It's easier to even get out of the cup. And I'll throw it in there. And I would recommend wearing gloves. I've seen some people have some really bad reactions to resin, like allergic reactions. So you want to be very mindful of that and do this in a very well ventilated place. Have a window open or something in your house. I did not have any reaction to this, which I am very grateful for because it certainly seems like there's so many things I'm allergic to. Now you want to stir this slowly to help kind of keep the air bubbles out of it, or to a minimum. You're going to see a lot of air bubbles in this as I stir it because I tried to get it on camera. But I wanted to basically show you that it turns cloudy and you can kind of see streaks in it. But as you keep stirring it, it becomes clear. And of course you will see the air bubbles, but it's mostly clear. And I make sure to scrape the sides because every now and again you'll scrape the side and you'll see another little string. And that just means it needs to be stirred just a little bit more and well together. I've read a few people say that if you didn't measure it out correctly or stir it real well, that it didn't set up well. It was tacky or just didn't set up. Now the lighter actually helps get rid of bubbles that are on the surface, and I tried to catch that in action for you so you could see it, but a lot of these bubbles haven't reached the surface, and you kind of almost have to let it set for about 5 minutes in order to get them to kind of rise to the surface. Now I'm going to divide this out into 4 containers and add some colors to it. I did it one time. I got a little adventitious and decided to do 6 colors at one time, but it's not a good idea because if you don't put them in the mold like right away, it does start setting up. It gets stickier and tackier, and it's hard to get it to kind of go into the mold as well. It will eventually, but I was kind of worried on one of them that I ended up just going ahead and throwing it away. I didn't have a whole lot of that color, and I just decided to go ahead and count the loss because I was worried that it wouldn't go into the areas of the mold. Now this is Lollipop. It's a really pretty pink color, and it's just in the makeup section at the Dollar Tree, and I just turn it over and tap the bottom until I get whatever desired amount that I want in there. And then I'm going to just stir this up with the popsicle stick. And it is the prettiest pink color that I've ever seen. I actually preferred this pink over the pink that was in the Prima powders. But the Prima powders honestly was more of a color that you would think of as a flamingo, and that's what I used this pink for. I also used it for some little lei flowers, like it makes me think of Hawaiian flowers. Also use that for those too. And I use both pinks for that. This one is the grape jelly. It's the purple eyeshadow from the Dollar Tree. And it's gorgeous. It's so pretty. And you just put it in there, stir it up, and stir it really well. The first time I used the Prima powder in the pink, I didn't stir it up as well. And you could actually see some clumps when it was in the resin once it dried. This green in the Prima powders is really pretty. And this is like a brown. There is also there's a very similar color in the eyeshadows that the Dollar Tree has as well that's called Radiant. But it's really pretty. And it doesn't take much. Like, I've already made quite a few of these, and I still have over 3/4 of those powders left. Now, this was something that I just maybe back in February or March got on clearance at my Hobby Lobby. These are normally pretty expensive. They're Dr. P.H. Martin's. They're a really nice calligraphy ink, and you can use them in resin, I know, on like tumblers and stuff. So I had thought, oh, let me look at the colors that I bought and pick some of those. And this is such a beautiful coral color, and it was on clearance for $2.25. I actually have several other colors that I also got on clearance. I may have never even bought those until I saw somebody make a beach tumbler, and I went specifically looking through that section when I saw they were on clearance. And I ended up picking up this turquoise color and this really beautiful black iridescent, and then this beautiful blue. And they're all so pretty. And like I say, they're $8.99 a bottle. So if they hadn't been on clearance, I probably would have never owned those colors. So here's what one of the coral fish look. He is super pretty. And then I made a brown one. And I've actually seen people do just videos on demolding them. And I've watched them because I find it very satisfying to watch somebody demold these creations. I love seeing how they come out. It's super fun. And it's almost as much fun as doing it yourself, but not quite. But it is. Now, I decided to try to mix some of the brown and green for the turtle because I thought, well, let's maybe try to make his shell brown and the rest of him green. And most of them didn't turn out all that great. I think I would have to maybe use a syringe or something to kind of get them into the right places, and maybe even let it get a little more tacky before adding another color. But I didn't get quite that involved in it yet, but I may. And there's the difference between the pinks. Like I say, the right one is definitely more closer to me what a flamingo color is, but I really love that eyeshadow color of the lollipop. And then I did a few of these leaves, and they just come out so pretty. Now, none of the leaves came out entirely intact. You can kind of see where maybe a little air bubble got in them. But I'm not too worried about that. I think they're still pretty. I would have liked to even maybe put in a toothpick to see if I could have caught that air bubble, but I was afraid I would scratch the mold. And I have done that. And once you scratch that mold, you'll see it every time you put your resin piece in it. And see, there's those beautiful flowers. And then here's some of the little seashells. And I made different colors, and I'm going to attach little pieces on them to help me hang them. But I just love that color. It is so pretty. And you can see some of the air bubbles, but on the front part you don't see them, so I'm not too upset about them. It's really hard. I don't like to overfill those molds because they become too thick. All right, then so here are a pair of flat nose pliers, and I basically just grasp this little pin, and it's got a little place on it where you can kind of drill it into the resin piece. And if you let them harden for about 12 hours, they come out and they're still just a little bit soft. These are actually much easier to put into the resin pieces. But if you're like me and you work 12 hours and you came home and you just couldn't do it, even if you wait till the next morning, I did get a little mini hand drill set from Amazon and drilled in the hole about maybe a third of the way, and then added this and then screwed this little piece in, and it worked out just as well. It didn't mess anything up. It doesn't crack the resin. You're more likely to scratch it if you wait that long and then try to push this through. And then I have arthritis in my hands, so it's a little bit more challenging for me to do this anyway. I know one night after I had done several of them, I could really tell it in my hands. But basically, this was just kind of how I filled each of the pieces. I kind of go into the corners and try to give it, of course, it does kind of spread out on its own. And I just fill those up to the desired amount. I do have to say that not all of them are the same thickness. Some are thicker, some are thinner. But, you know, if they're going to be on different pieces, it definitely does not matter. A few of the flamingos towards the end, I decided to fill them up the entire way. And they're just as cute when they're that thick. But I just think they look a little cuter if they're not quite as thick. And then sometimes even when you fill them, you'll end up with, they're higher on the sides than the back. And a few of them, I actually went back and remixed more resin and added it to the back, just to make it so that the back didn't kind of concave too much. And then here are all the little puzzle pieces. And I actually took a toothpick and just stirred kind of in the middle, because it kind of looks like on the back where all the color just kind of shoots out, almost like a star pattern. And I kind of swirled it just a little, just to kind of give it a swirl pattern on the back. And it did dry that way. Now, of course, these I didn't swirl pattern them, but I had some extra left over, so I decided to do a couple of the unicorns. And these, you just kind of pop them out of that mold. And you kind of have to work it all around the edges to get it to pop out. And I kind of fill these up as far as I can, but they come out so pretty. MoldsbyMia is her name on Etsy. And now if your silicone mold is dull to the finish on the inside, then your resin will be dull, just like this, which I think is still super pretty. I love those cactuses, but as you can see on the back of them, they're really shiny. But if your mold has a shiny finish like the brown ones do, like the candy molds, then your resin will still have that same shiny finish. And so here is a look at some of the pieces that I did, and I absolutely love them. I'm an autism advocate. My son is dyslexic. He has autism. So I just believe in bringing a lot of awareness to those, because autism has a very high prevalence rate, but dyslexia is actually higher. It's like 1 in 9 kids. And when I go to his school and I see all these kids have their papers up along the wall on the outside, and I look at their handwriting and I look at their spelling, I'm like, well, there's 1 in 9, there's another, there's the 2nd in 9, there's the 3rd in 9. So I believe in bringing awareness to this, because if you're aware and know, you can take steps to help. Of course, my child's had an IEP since he was 3, so he's been very fortunate to have been followed along, his entire school career, and get some of the help he needs. But I guess that's another day. But these are just some of the other really pretty pieces I made. I did add some extra to the back of that to make it kind of not concave on the back. I did it also with the turtle. I really love these turtles. I cannot wait to give one to my sister-in-law, and I know she'll just love this turtle too. So I may make her like a little keychain with this, or maybe something that could hang in her car, or maybe in the house. So, but I just loved how a lot of these turned out. I did remix more of the resin and did fill in the backs so they weren't so concave. It's easier if you leave them in the mold when you do this, although some of it will seep around it. So you need almost a surface to lay it on that will keep it straight. If you want to add that to the back. The other suggestion I have is to use a clear UV resin and have like a UV light or a UV flashlight, and you can build up the back that way and do it a lot more quickly, and you don't have to wait for that other resin to cure. It cures by that UV light. And so far I've gotten my UV resin from Sophie and Toffee. That's an online company. It does take a while to get here because it is overseas. I believe it's Singapore that it ships from. Or you can get this UV resin off of Amazon. They have all kinds of different ones to choose from, and the prices are really good too. I've just happened to gotten it from overseas in order to try it first, because I found Sophie and Toffee by watching Creative Rachie and Nerdy Crafter. Love those girls. They have some really great beginner resin videos that if you're interested, you should find them and watch those. So like I say, if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you like these videos, give them a thumbs up. I'll keep showing and sharing some of the different things that I'm doing. I'm going to plan on doing these and putting them in the fall craft show. I would like to show you how I package these up, later on, and what I'm going to actually do with them, whether I make them into travelers, notebooks, charms, planner charms, little paper clips, different things like that. I want to share that with you guys. So if you like this video, I'll make sure to get that put out there. And super excited to share with you all the different things that I'm trying, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you guys come back soon, and take care and have a great weekend. Bye.